Hi class, I realize your book covers the basics of advertising, but I don't think they consolidate the concepts very well. So here's my version of the basics of advertising. Be sure to take notes because I'll be asking questions from this video on your exam. Let's get started. I'm presenting you the major players in advertising. What I mean by this is there are several entities involved in each advertisement you see or hear or read. I'll be organizing those entities into major categories like this. The first player is the advertiser. This is the company that's got a message to deliver to a target audience. I'll be using Sonic as an example in this video because, well, you probably know Sonic. You've probably also seen their TV commercials, and you might not know this, but the famous Two Guys commercials were originally created right in our own backyards in Kansas City. So the idea is there's a company, in this case Sonic, and they've got something they need to say. Something like, we've got a new flavor, we've got a new limeade, or we're now taking orders on our app, something like that. Since Sonic is in the restaurant business, not the advertising business, they don't really know the best way to communicate that they've got a new flavor. So they hire professionals. These professionals work at advertising agencies. Advertising agencies are companies that specialize in advertising. Agencies don't call themselves companies. It's weird, I know. They call themselves agencies. The building here, in this example, is actually an ad agency in Kansas City called Barkley. Barkley is the agency that first created the Two Guys campaign for Sonic. Sonic hired Barkley to come up with an ad campaign that initially focused on some menu items that were really popular with their loyal customers. It's an interesting story, so I've posted some information in Canvas under the Pages section. So far, we've got an advertiser, Sonic, who's hired an ad agency, Barkley, to help them create ads. For the record, you'll sometimes hear the advertiser referred to as the client because if you work in an ad agency, you work for the clients, who are the advertisers. So the word client is used in the context of an advertising agency. Let's move on. The ads that the agency create for the client have to appear somewhere, and that's where the media comes in. I think the word media is confusing when you're learning about it in advertising or first learning about it. It's used in a lot of different contexts, but here it means where the ad appears or where the message appears. The media rely on selling ads to pay the bills, so basically the media exists to help advertisers send a message to their target audience. Here I'm showing CBS Sports. That's because Sonic ads have appeared on CBS Sports in this media outlet or this media vehicle. The ad agency actually helps the client choose where the ads appear to. They help decide which media vehicles are the best choice for the message and for the intended target audience. More on that a little later. There's one more here, and that's the target audience. Every message should have a very clearly defined group of people who are most likely to respond to the message. That group of people is called the target audience, or target. You'll find out during this course about how much ads cost, but the short of it is they can be really expensive. So if an advertiser runs an ad that reaches people who don't care, a lot of money is wasted. No company can afford to waste money, so target audiences are typically not large groups of people, but instead smallish, but well-defined and cohesive groups. Like this one here, like young men 18 to 24, single with a household income below $25,000 a year, something like that. Ad agencies also help clients identify the target audiences like this. You'll learn in this class that ad agencies employ the experts in advertising. That's why in this class, or a class like this, there's a lot of talk about ad agencies because they're the professionals at this type of work. The unfortunate thing is that may leave you with the false impression that all jobs in advertising relate to jobs at ad agencies. But that's far from the truth. In fact, most jobs are not at ad agencies. Most jobs in advertising are not at ad agencies. There's so many different jobs in advertising, it's just hard to mention them all here. Take my Introduction to Advertising course. In there, I cover a lot of different career possibilities for you if you're interested in any of these angles. But for now, you can know that there are jobs on the client side working for the advertiser. There are jobs on the agency side, working in an ad agency. There are jobs on the media side, working where the ads appear. And there's a lot of other jobs at companies that support all three of these entities. If you ever want to look for a job in advertising, come and see me in my office or check out my Twitter feed at twitter.com/jplamer. Let's move on. Let's look at an actual advertisement. Of course, we've got to check out an ad from the Sonic 2 Guys campaign. So here we've got an advertisement. We also call this an ad, and note that it only has one D, not two Ds. It's important to learn this terminology. There are lots of variants of the word advertising, and if you work anywhere in this industry, you don't want to screw this up. For example, if you're an advertising major, you wouldn't say, I major in advertisement. An advertisement is the actual message, so you can't major in a message. Advertising is the discipline of this type of work, so you major in the discipline, advertising. I major in advertising. Well, let's watch this advertisement.
Hey there, America. You might remember us as the two guys who used to be in all those Sonic commercials.
And then they phased us out.
That's the sound of a phaser. Phasing. So we decided to go rogue
and make our own commercials.
This popcorn chicken's delicious.
Yeah, fill your bellies with chicken instead of your cars. Cut.
Cut. That's the What are you doing?
Chew.
No.
We're better with some structure.
On our own, we're kind of a mess. We were like, we're not going to beg.
And then seconds later, we were begging.
We were classy, so we took the high road. We're going to cut right to it. We want our jobs back.
Right now.
Yeah.
Then we took the low road.
We need those two guys back. That's the key.
That worked perfectly.
Hey! We got our jobs back.
I just said that. Bang.
Now we're back, making an even bigger bang.
How did he have your number?
I spray painted it on his garage.
Okay, great ad. Let's move on. Okay, so some more terminology. There's the target audience. The target audience sees the ad on TV, which is the medium. A medium is the entity that conveys the message. We also call this the media vehicle or the media outlet. It's the specific place where the ad appears. So Sports Illustrated, the magazine, would also be a media vehicle for the advertisement airing it. The media or medium is kind of like the psychic in the movie Poltergeist. That lady with the creepy voice, she's the medium for ghosts, and she delivers messages to the family from ghosts living in their house. So the previous page, CBS College Sports delivers Sonic's message to the viewers of that show in the same way that the creepy woman in Poltergeist delivers messages to the family from the ghosts.
Hold on to yourselves. There's one more thing. A terrible presence is in there with her.
Well, she's not really CBS Sports, but she's a medium, and so is CBS Sports. Anyway, you're already getting the idea that agencies do a lot of work, and they do. They decide the message approach, and that means they decide where the ad should be in print or TV or web or any combination. They decide whether the ad is funny, whether there are celebrities involved, all the basic decisions about what the final ad will look like or sound like. Agencies also choose the media vehicles. That means they decide where the ads appear. This has a lot to do with the target audience and the content of the show itself. The idea is to choose the exact right moment when the target is most approachable, the most able to digest the message. Agencies also create the ads. Sometimes they do this by hiring other companies, but basically they tend to be in charge of all of it, from hiring actors to writing the script to scouting locations for filming to actually filming and editing and preparing, the final product so it's in the right format for the media vehicles. There's a lot that goes into all of this, but this video is just the basics, so we'll just stop there. But by the way, the target audience never sees any of this behind the scenes stuff. They only see the final advertisement. It takes a lot of people to do this, so let's look at how the departments are structured at ad agencies. Basically, like any other type of company, there are a lot of different departments. For example, there's account services. People here service the accounts, and that means they basically go back and forth between the agency and the client. For example, account reps at Barkley would know everything there is to know about the agency itself, what the agency can do, its abilities, what they've done for their clients in the past, but it would also know everything about the client. So account reps for Sonic would have to know Sonic's business inside and out. They'd need to know all the products, their locations, they would need to know their past ad campaigns, their competition, what the competition is selling, any new products the competition's introducing, and of course, what ads the competition might be airing. Account services communicates between the agency and the client, making sure the client's getting what they want from the agency. There's another department called the media department, and people here decide where the ads appear. They're choosing media vehicles. I've covered this a little already, so maybe you're getting the idea. These employees work in the media department, and they do media planning and media buying. If you meet them at a conference, they might tell you, I work in media at an ad agency, and now you know that means they decide where the ads appear. By the way, if you're ever at an ad agency and someone asks you if you know or like media, they're asking you if you might want to do this kind of job. If you're intrigued, take my Intro to Advertising class where we build a mini media plan, or take my media planning and sales class where we spend the entire semester on the process of choosing media. Okay, you see creatives next here. There's another department called creative. I don't really like this name because it implies that other departments are not creative, and that's just not true. But this department definitely has creative people in it. They're the ones that make the decisions about what the ads look like, sound like, and so on. There are art directors and there are copywriters. The word copy here means words, not making copies like a Xerox machine. Most ads need both a visual person and a word person, so they tend to be working together in teams. Another department is production, and here's where people are making the ads that the creative department creates. This team's making a lot of different versions of the ads for TV, for web, for social, print, and so on. So there's a lot of work to do. If you like the Adobe Suite, you'd like working in this department. There's also a lot of high-end video and animation work that has to be done for a lot of commercials, and that's often outsourced to specialists. But since social media has become really image and video focused, agencies have begun to hire video teams and build small video departments so they can make quick video clips for social posts. So broadcast majors may end up landing a job at an ad agency doing video and audio ads that end up on YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, and other social sites. Usually when you see an ad on TV, it's not just a single ad, but it's part of an advertising campaign. A campaign, this is more terminology. A campaign is a series of ads. The ads may run across multiple media platforms like television, radio, billboards, magazine, newspaper, websites, and even direct mail. The ads in a campaign clearly belong together like they're family members, all with the same DNA. They all look alike, they all sound alike, just like family members look alike and sound alike. Let's look at the Two Guys campaign. That campaign started in 2004 with a couple of people at Barkley, Pat McKay and Pat Piper, who worked at an agency called Barkley Evergreen and Partners, which is now just Barkley today. It actually started as a video project for a convention, but it turned into this hit ad campaign. You can read all about it. I've uploaded some files in Canvas, but I won't elaborate here. By 2008, the campaign had consumed more than half of Sonic's $190 million annual budget. That buys a lot of television ads. But like all things in popular culture, the campaign fell out of favor with consumers, and so it was dropped. And soon after, Sonic also dropped Barkley as its ad agency. This happens all the time in advertising. Clients tend to bounce from agency to agency. Sonic chose then to work with Goodby Silverstein and Partners. When you watch the documentary Art and Copy, you'll see a lot of this agency, and you'll meet Jeff Goodby and Rich Silverstein. You'll recognize some of their work, like they did the Got Milk campaign and the Budweiser Frogs. Jeff Goodby is actually one of advertising's rock stars, so you want to remember his name. He's one of the many reasons I start focusing on this campaign. This is a quote from Todd Smith, who's Chief Marketing Officer at Sonic. He's right to call this campaign one of the longest running ad campaigns in the industry. Most campaigns only last a few months. Now, here comes my definition of advertising. I know the book has its definition, but I think this covers more territory because I'm telling you what advertising is not, in addition to telling you what it is. First off, we want to start by looking at the marketing process. In marketing, we break the process of marketing to 4 segments. And this isn't really just a school thing. We actually do this in business. The 4 things start with P, so we call it the 4 Ps of marketing. The first P is for product. That means there's a team of people in the marketing department on the client side, and they're deciding things about the product. So, for example, at Sonic, the marketing team might decide that Sonic needs a new food item for, let's say, pets. I mean, people bring their pets with them to the restaurant, maybe in their cars. So why not have a dog dish on the menu? This would be something that the marketing team would come up with as they're working on a new product. The team decides what the dish is named, what the flavor is, the shape, all those things that can actually make a product. And then they decide the price of that product. It sounds kind of easy, but there's a science involved here. There's more than just the price of the ingredients, plus the related costs of employees and uniforms and benefit packages and the building, rent, maintenance, all that stuff. It's also got to be priced in a range that's acceptable for the consumers. And if there's competition, that has to be taken into consideration too. And then there's the third P, place, and that means at some point we have to decide where customers can get the product. Here we're talking about Sonic, so obviously the product will be available at the Sonic drive-ins. But maybe we're just regionally going to introduce this product where maybe there are more dog owners. And if the product's a big hit, maybe we'll partner with someone like PetSmart and sell a version of the product in all PetSmart locations. That's part of the place decision the marketing team makes. And then there's promotion, and that's us. This is where we tell a target audience about the product. So you can see that advertising is part of the promotion process. It's the 4th P. Well, it's part of the 4th P anyway. But a lot of what we do in this class, and all advertising classes at Northwest, falls under something that we call traditional advertising. And that includes things like TV, newspaper, radio, magazines, internet, outdoor, or some banner ads, search ads, and some outdoor. Those are billboards and transit. Those are all traditional advertising. And again, that's what we focus on in our classrooms, in our advertising classrooms. But there are other items as well, in addition to traditional advertising. For example, there's things like direct marketing. Those are things like the emails and old-fashioned mail and catalogs, things that are sent directly to a consumer, but sent thousands or millions at a time. There's branding, and that's where companies strategically put their logos on things like stadiums, race cars, and even celebrities. There's sales. For most retail businesses, salespeople make a big difference in what consumers think about the company, so sales strategies are really important. And there's also packaging. That can be really competitive for items that consumers buy in grocery stores. where people make decisions right there, staring at the shelves. A really cleverly designed package can make all the difference. And then, of course, there's a whole world of social media with so many different platforms, so many different approaches. Too much to cover here, so take Jody's social media course and get a full understanding of all the business potential social media has to offer. Also, public relations. Too much to cover here. Some of you might be PR majors or minors. Public relations, I think, is often misunderstood, but it involves different things. At the core, though, of public relations, at the core, the firm tries to get journalists to write positive things about a company. So, for example, if a dog died eating one of Sonic's new dog dishes, a PR firm would jump in and provide information and interviews and videos. So more newspapers and news outlets would cover that news item, and the PR specialists would try to ensure the most positive side of the story is covered by those journalists. That's public relations at its core. Sometimes we even see promotions listed here under other. And what we're talking about here are events. So maybe Sonic would give away doggy t-shirts and samples of their new dog dish at, say, a Royals game. That would be a promotion. There's also word of mouth, where brands try to get others to talk about their product. A lot of that is done through bloggers today. Some of you might know MMGY. It's an ad agency in Kansas City, and they do a lot of this word of mouth for their clients, and they work in the travel industry. Some of our graduates are there doing this type of work right now, and their job is to find bloggers who cover the travel industry, and they try to get those bloggers to write about the brands they represent, like Princess Cruises, for example. So MMGY might offer bloggers a free cruise if they write something positive about their experiences. It's kind of cool. All of these things are essentially the fourth P of the marketing process. But in class, we just focus on traditional advertising. You'll be studying famous and current ads and the meanings that ads have when they run in television or magazines. So this is what we'll be covering in this class. Let's take a minute to see where advertisers actually spend most of their ad dollars. This will give us an idea which media types are used the most by advertisers. You might get the impression that it's the internet, or you might think newspapers are dead, right? Well, the biggest amount of money is actually spent on television, and that's probably not a big surprise. The next biggest amount of money is spent on the internet. And the next is newspapers, and this might be where you're surprised. Newspapers are still getting money from advertisers. Next is radio, then magazines, then outdoor. So this shows us where advertisers actually spent their money in 2016. They spent more than $17 billion on magazine ads, but more than $67 billion on television ads. And you can also see here the change from year to year. So, for example, advertisers spent 8% less on newspaper ads in 2016 than they did in 2015. That's not good for newspapers. And that might be why you are hearing that newspapers are dead. They're not dead, but $19 billion is still a lot of money. But advertisers are spending less money here in newspapers. And you can see there where the money is going, right here. 18% more in internet in 2016 than in 2015. So this chart just gives us an idea of where advertisers spend their money in terms of media vehicles. That wraps up our definition of advertising. So since you can expect to see questions from this exam, I've put this slideshow in Canvas, and of course you can rewatch this video. Goodbye.